o'clock. We will start our regularly scheduled board meeting with the flag salute. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So welcome to all of our guests. I think we're making up for our last board meeting. It's good to see.
Last. We still have more.
I think last meeting we had one. That's what I was saying.
Oh, I see, compared to that.
Item A3, I'll accept a motion to approve the agenda.
I move we approve the agenda.
I will second that.
Been a motion by Director Stevenson to approve, second by Director Johnson. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. We'll move on now to item B1. It's that time of year where we have our annual reorganization of the Board of Directors. So what we'll take is any nominations, first for president, and this does require a roll call vote. So.
I move that I nominate, what?
Nominate.
Okay, great. I nominate Mike as president.
Then a nomination, Mike Garza.
Yeah.
Can I say no? I'd rather not.
Nope. Is there any other nominations?
I nominate Rob Simmons.
Does there have to be a second?
So I'm not sure if we need a second for nomination.
I think you do, but I don't know.
I don't know that we've ever had multiple nominations. Okay. So there's 2 nominations, I guess. Is there any other nominations?
Well, but if one's declined, then is that a nomination?
Well, there might not be a second for the person after they decline.
Oh, I see. Okay, with you.
Okay.
I'll
Is there a
second that nomination for Rob Simmons to be president.
Is there a second for the nomination of Mike Garza? They care what you think, Mike. Okay, if there's no other nominations, then we will do a roll call vote, starting with Tony.
Aye.
This would be for Rob Simmons as president.
Aye.
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 And I am okay with it as well, so aye. All right, so now we'll do the same for vice president. I nominate Mike Garza.
I'll second that.
Any other nominations? Okay. So by roll call vote again for Mike Garza as vice president for this upcoming year.
Aye.
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 Aye. So that carries 5-0 as well. So that's not going to change. One thing I don't have on here, because I'd like the board to help me with this interpretation of the president pro tem. So if you look at policy GP 2, I believe, it says we also will nominate legislative representative to a 2-year term, but we're just after, we're in year 1 of the 2-year term. That's why we didn't do that today. Consecutive terms of office are not prohibited. And then it says, in the absence of both the president and the vice president, the board shall elect a president pro tem who shall perform the functions of the president during the latter's absence. So what I didn't know about this, in the past we've elected a president pro tem in this meeting, but it almost looks like that can be be elected at the meeting where there's an absence of both the president and the vice president. What is the board, what's your interpretation of that? Should we choose that now or at each meeting?
I think you're better off to choose it because if it's not unanimous and 2 board members are gone, I don't know how we're going to have a meeting.
That's true.
Okay. So then, even though it's not part of this, our next thing would be to nominate and elect the president pro tem.
I nominate Ken Johnson as president pro tem.
Second. Any other nominations? Okay, roll call?
Aye.
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 Aye. Okay, so that business is concluded. We'll move on to item B2, public comment. Was there any request? No request for public comment. So item B3, recognition of outstanding achievement of students and/or staff. There are 3 students that are being recognized tonight. So if the board would come up to the front. I'd also ask that our band and choir teachers come up so they can fill everyone in about the grade. Okay, so whoever wants to kind of introduce.
Yes. So every year, students are able to audition for an all Northwest or all state group. This year it's all Northwest, which is 6 states in our region. And the following 3 students have all been accepted to participate in different performing groups at the conference in Portland in February. So we'll start with Macy Ludi from our band. She'll be playing oboe in the concert all-state band.
Shake everyone's hand and that's it. And I'll find her.
And Seth Christensen was accepted into the Washington All-State Symphonic Choir. And Becky Clough was accepted into the All Northwest Treble Choir. They're awesome. And hopefully they'll get to go again because we've got 2 freshmen and a sophomore. So excited. We're excited for them.
If you could all come up for a picture, that would be awesome.
Right in front of us. Yes, yes, of course.
All right. So we will now move on to item B4. This is pre-approved presentations to the board. And this would be, this is a request to present a donation. And this is from the Lions Club. So I'll just ask the Lions Club representatives and whoever wants to come up to the mic here and tell us what you're here for.
Mhm. We'll do both.
Jenny, you have to push the bottom button.
I think it's
Hold it.
actually on.
Is it on?
Try it
Okay.
first.
Hello?
Way close. There we go.
Hello?
It's
Okay.
on. Yep.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay. My name is Jenny Marsh, and I'm the president of Othello Lions Club. And I just want to first give you just a little bit of information about Lions Club now that I have all your attention. It's just Lions Club is an international charitable society devoted to social and international service. And the motto of Lions Club is "We Serve." The focus of Lions, among other things, is vision, disaster relief, diabetes, the environment, and many other things that we as an international and local group donate monies to and give service to. Each of our Lions Club, the local ones, we contribute not only to the international club, but we also work in our community. And we help groups, families, or do projects that need assistance in the Othello area. We give assistance through monies as well as our physical labor. Othello Lions Club has donated and helped our community for over 60 years. We continue to give high school scholarships each year. We have donated money to the Othello swim team, baseball team, Special Olympic athletes, Shop with a Cup, Christmas baskets, and many other things. And we also, the physical part comes in, when we grow vegetables for the food bank in the community gardens. To raise money for the Lions scholarships and for other projects, we have a turkey bingo. Some of you may have seen some signs around and wondered what that was. And we also have a spring ham bingo night, as well as an annual dinner and auction. So I'm just going to invite you, if you see any of these posters or signs, we invite you to come and join us so we can go ahead and share more of our time and effort and monies to other charities in our area. What we'd like to do tonight is give some monies to a very special project that Crystal Hurst has given us and has told us about, because she is also a Lions member, and she has told us about the various visually impaired children that she works with. And so what we have, because we work with vision in the Lions Club, we would like to donate $500 to Othello School District to be used by Crystal to be able to buy equipment or aids for these different students. So we have a check.
That's a great thing.
Do we want to go up for that?
I don't know if you can even see this, but this is the official
The big check?
Lions.
We have to get a picture of that.
The problem is, I didn't have a good pen that worked, so Crystal, we did give him a little check, though. I do have that.
Should we put Crystal right in the middle? Or do you want to hand it to
Yeah.
Crystal?
I'm gonna hand it to Crystal. You can just go. And this is for Crystal, and it's through Othello School District, and it's $500. We had given her $500 before. Excuse me. And she has used that money to buy magnifiers for 2 of her students, or 3 of her students. And in a minute, I'm just gonna have to get all the pictures taken. I'm gonna let Crystal tell us just a little bit about what you bought for the kids and how the kids are feeling with those new aids that you've given them.
So is this the second year, right?
This is
the first.
This is the second.
Right. All right.
We'll get a better pen next time. Well, you can stand right there. Yeah, you can stay right
First of all, I'd like to just thank Lions Club for just being so kind and generous. They donated $500 to the students in Othello School District with visual impairments back in the spring. And it was just an amazing blessing to our students. And we had a situation in August where we had a student that enrolled into Othello School District, and the student is significantly visually impaired, and her vision is not stable. And so we were trying to figure out what are we going to do to keep her up to date on her curriculum and provide what she needs while we're waiting to see what her diagnosis is going to end up being. So we were able to utilize $200 of that money that Lions Club donated last year, and we were able to get her a monocular, a magnifier, and she's using it. She's staying on track with her curriculum, and we were able to get it kind of in an emergency situation. So it has just been awesome. 2 of our other students have been able to get magnifiers, and we were also able to provide materials for some of our cortically visually impaired students that have other delays, and we were able to make the crafts, and we typically just come out of pocket, teachers and myself, to make what we need for our kids. And so we didn't have to dig too deep last year because of the donation from the Lions Club. So we just want to say thank you on behalf of the people that I work with in Othello School District, and we watch the money carefully. So thank you so much.
So Crystal, can you just for a minute share who your employer is for people who might
Okay.
think that
Okay.
we were forced to hire you at a package deal with Dr. Hurst when we hired Dr. Hurst? Just to
If
kinda
we were
clarify.
forced to choose, we might have chose you.
I actually work for Washington State School for the Blind in Vancouver, Washington, and I work with their outreach department. There are about 20 of us, teachers of the visually impaired, that work with the outreach department in Washington School for the Blind. And we work based on our geographics. We serve districts based on where we live. So I live east side, so I serve Othello, Moses Lake, and Warden. Then we have other teachers that serve west side. We only have one other vision teacher serving east side. So we have quite a bit of region to cover. But my employer is actually Washington State School for the Blind.
So how many students do you serve from Othello?
I have 8 right now from Othello, which is, when I started in 2016, I had 4. And I kept getting referrals, and I kept saying, where are you guys finding these blind children? And so, so now we have 8, and they're just fabulous, fabulous. Certainly all of them have my heartstring, and I love them, and I do my very, very best to serve them. So this is my 17th year as a teacher of the visually impaired. I worked in San Diego Unified School District for 14 years, and this is the beginning of my 17th year, and it's just awesome. It's very, very rewarding. So thank you for allowing me the opportunity to share.
Thank you. And thank you, the Lions Club, for that donation. Okay, we move on to item B5, board member discussions. And we'll start with the legislative report.
I do not have anything at this time.
All right. Then we'll move on to the January 14th special board meeting, community linkage.
And that's me too. I contacted and left a message today for McCain's to try to make those arrangements because there's been a change in their management. The contact point person that we had is no longer there. So I was just trying to find the right person. If anybody else has a contact there, to see if we can make the January 14th for them.
I could get you the head of HR.
That's who I left a message for. Hopefully I get a response. But maybe if you could explain to that person, like if you actually talk to the live body instead of the voicemail, just so that they understand and get it, that sometimes when there's a, you know.
I have a cell
Works
phone
better.
contact. So
Okay, perfect. That'd be great. And if you can let me know if January 14th does not work, then I need to go on to the next one as soon as possible.
Okay.
So, okay.
And did the board, do we like the format that we had from the last one? You want to stick with that? Okay. All right. The next item is still on there, NSBA conference. I think we need to change this in the future to remind us what the date of the conference is now, since the registration began a while ago. So if there's any, oh, there we go, March 30th through April 1st. Philadelphia. So if there's any board members, just a reminder, just to let Dr. Hurst know, one thing is formality, but you have to get approval for any out-of-state travel from the president, which I don't have any intention of not approving it, but just to follow our.
At this point, when does the registration increase? Do we know that?
Good question. Is it on that site?
See, he's right there, possibly.
There it is.
January
Right
11.
there. January 11th?
So about a month left for the.
Yeah, so my feeling is if a board member's gonna go, that we should commit to it before that date.
Yeah, it was $30 difference, I think. It didn't look like it was a lot more for after. Sometimes it's a lot
I didn't
more.
see that far, so
Yeah, I just caught it. I think it was pretty small.
that's small letters there. Mold.
Okay. Any other comments or discussion regarding the NSBA conference?
Oh, now he's making it nice big.
Okay, so it'll be, for the regular one, be $50 more.
Okay.
Okay. All right, then we'll move on to the next item. So at the last School Board Facility Advisory Committee meeting, it was brought up that I think that was missed, the update to us was missed last month. And after some discussion, there was a decision just to ask me to kind of update where they're at, because our next meeting, there is an expectation to come to us with a recommendation. So a lot of good discussion happened in the last meeting. I think they were able to narrow down their thoughts, and now it's just a matter of getting it written down, getting it approved by the committee at the next committee meeting. And if that committee says go, then I think that they'll bring someone to the next board meeting to let us know what the recommendation is, and then we take it from there. And they are gonna come at that meeting that we're having at noon. Any questions from the board about that? I think a couple of you have been watching it on YouTube, right?
Yeah, tried to watch the last
When you
one.
can hear it,
Yeah.
yes.
I have a quick question about the special meeting on December 19th. Do we know roughly how long that meeting is going to take? Or is it going to be just because I have school during that time? Or is that going to be like the length?
Bringing up the calendar right now to see
Okay.
how many items are on it that need to be taken care of. I can give you a little better idea from my perspective anyway.
Since it's during the school day, my feeling would be is we modify our agenda to have the student rep reports first, and then if they need to get back to class, then I think we should be
And we can do that.
encouraging that.
Because I have lunch at 12:05, so that's not a super big deal. But it's just like my classes after that. We start at like 12:35 is when lunch ends. So I can miss a little bit of my class after that.
Well, it looks like we have several GPs and BSR policies that we'll be going over for our surveys, but just one EL policy for survey. But you guys do the Survey Monkeys ahead of time anyway, so your feelings can still be put into those. So yeah, if you want to get back, I think it's pretty easy for us to make student reports be item B1.
Awesome. Okay, thank you so much.
All right. Any other questions about the committee? Okay, so we'll move on to item B6. And I filled the board in on this already, but just for the public and anyone who's listening. So this was originally a board discussion. Director Ashton had brought it up to me and asked me to place it on the agenda, and I had shared it with Dr. Hershey to give him a heads up. He then let me know over the weekend that there was, that Rocky was able to put a resolution in together so that we could actually see what it would look like on paper. So then the decision was made to put this as a potential action item. Obviously, if the board's not ready to approve it, then we won't approve it, but it's it's there in case we want to. So I'm going to hand it off to Director Ashton.
Yeah, so to give a little bit of background on this, Mike, when did you go on the board? When we,
December of 2014.
so
It's
must have been 2013
2013,
then,
July.
when we made the first director position at large. What that does for the community,
Well, we approved the resolution.
we approved the
in
resolution
July
and then it
on
went to the,
November ballot, I think.
it was earlier, anyway, the community voted for it eventually anyway. But this in the end really goes to the community. I'm sure most of the directors are aware of that. But over the years, as a board, we've discussed, the maximum amount of at-large positions you can have in a district our size is 2. And we've had several discussions over the years. The reason for districts, if you read about what they're for and why they have district areas, is to make sure that everyone's represented. And we've had discussions as a board before Ken and Jen were on the board quite a bit about how Othello is a unique community. There really are no areas necessarily that are excluded. There's poverty areas inside of every district. There's ELL students in every district. We don't really have a quote-unquote rich district and a poor district and those kind of things in Othello to deal with, where you would have which would be a reason to have different director districts instead of at-large. But we have had issues over the years getting enough people to run for positions, and that's the reason why the first one became at large, is because that position opened it up. Nobody ran for that position, and then we couldn't get anybody to even volunteer to be interviewed to be appointed, and that's how that came about. About April last year is when I remember talking about it last. And the decision of the board at the time was they didn't want to put a redistricting on the ballot at the same with one of those director positions that either of you were running for, because it would have been unfair to because it doesn't happen until the vote. So we felt like it wouldn't be right to have an election where you could only apply to be elected in that district if you're in the district, and then have a vote at the same time, expanding it to an at-large area the next day, where people could have ran, but they can't for 4 years now, kind of, if that makes sense. But now as we come up on elections again, the next election cycle opens in June. Mike's position and Rob's comes open, and there's a rumor going around that I may move out of the area, and if I do, my position will come open as well, if that actually happens. And so my feeling is as was last time, is that we should have, the public should have the opportunity to be able to vote on a resolution to potentially open up that district before another election cycle passes. So the only way for that to happen would be this resolution would have to be done in December, voted on in February, and then people will have the opportunity in April to know that they could run for a position. And if I happen to move, it ends my term at the end of this year, and so that my position will be up for re-election, would be up for people to apply. There'd be an appointment, and then anybody could run in April for my position as well if I happen to move before then. Does that kind of make sense? So candidly, I'd forgot about it until about a week and a half ago when I contacted Rob.
So, Tony, you were appointed originally, and then have you ever been contested in a race?
No. No.
I like the idea of having 2 at-large positions, but if you do move and have someone appointed to your position, and then they would have to run the very next election, that would make it so that the 2 at-large positions are on the ballot at the same time. I think it would be, and I don't know how we could make
Which
this work.
they always alternate. They move around every time a board member resigns.
Right, and so I think, but the way that we would, is there a way we could set it up so that there would?
No, because it's by director position. Eventually, they'll end up being, because of the
Off.
randomness.
Well,
Right.
I think I might have an answer to that. So really, Tony's and your districts are on the same ballot. Mike and I are on a separate ballot.
Currently,
So
correct.
if Tony's was to be dissolved and become an at-large, there would only be there might be a special election to fill that, but then it would go back, I think, to the normal 4-year cycle that it is on now. I'm not 100% sure on that.
I believe that's true. I believe they run.
So what you're saying
So
is they would only run for 2 years?
Yeah, I believe when I
Okay.
got on, I ran and won election
Okay.
for a shorter remainder of the term, and then I ran a full term after that.
So if that's what you're concerned,
Okay.
there would be at-large positions on 2 separate election
Okay.
cycles.
So just in this one case, it would be, I mean, unless there's a resign or a move or something, which is always a potential.
Right.
So.
There's nothing for sure that I'm moving, by the way, but if I did move, that would be my position would go at large either way once you did this,
Mhm.
even if I stayed here.
If that's the case, where it would just be a 2-year term, and then they'd run for a 4-year term, I prefer that. I just don't want the 2 at-large positions to always be a 4-year, you have to wait 4 years, or wait until your district's up. Right,
The two at large.
yes.
And
On
I
the ballot
can't
at the
say
same
that
time.
I'm 100% sure of that, but as I think back to appointments we've done in special
It
elections.
sounds correct.
It always went back to the same director districts. We're on the same 4-year cycle afterwards.
Who would have the final answer on that?
Probably Heidi.
Heidi, okay.
Mike, when you first ran, was it just 2-year?
Yes, I finished out on 16. It's just the 2 years and then I ran for the current 4 year. Expires next.
Yeah, I believe that's how it works. Your election is to finish out the term of a person who's left the district.
I like the thought of another at-large spot on this board too. It just kind of took me off guard really quick when we went from discussion to having a potential resolution there, and I got reading through the resolution, and second to last paragraph, it says that the directors had reviewed the current director district boundaries, and this is the first time we've had discussion on that I'm aware of. Coming to my understanding, there was discussions before we were on the board. I know there's a lot of factors in that, because you're, after you create another at-large position, then you're redistricting the other 3 directors. Boundaries are changing and everything else too. And,
Who
of course,
come-
you gotta use the most current census to
Census.
do that. Well, in 2 years, we're gonna have the new censuses coming out. Right now, our censuses are 8 years old, so numbers may change drastically.
And if they did, you could
Yeah.
always you can,
Redistrict again.
yeah, I think when you redistrict areas like that, though, and you don't change to an at-large, I'm not sure that has to be an actual public vote, but
So our districts currently, now I'm colorblind, so if I get this wrong,
Yeah.
don't laugh.
Yeah.
Is that blue there, Tony, your district?
it's purple, yeah.
Purple or blue, I figured it was one or the other. So then if that was dissolved, then essentially you just have in town, which is
Is that
Ken, I
you,
believe.
Ken? You're the orange?
That
Yes.
orange, it's really in a highly populated area. Jen, then you go north of town where there's less population. Mine is the green that goes way out to the side. So my guess is that Jen and my districts would absorb a lot of that, and then Ken's might kind of, I remember the old district came down the center and grabbed Atkinson. My only thing I wouldn't want that any of our districts currently to shrink it all and potentially exclude where we're at right now and put us in a different district. That would be the only thing I would request, is that just expand the districts now. I don't want to put anyone in where, well, I can't run again now.
Well, the
because
3 of
my
us
district.
do, I mean, we all live in town, but we're all kind of far enough away from each other that I don't think that would be too much of a problem, that we'd still take part of in town and then a huge chunk of out of town as well. So,
My personal feeling as a board member is that Ken's district is the one, that area is the one that we've had a hard time filling traditionally. That area is the same district that the issues have always been in. I think expanding, if we did it, I think you'd expand Ken's district to include the majority of mine, and then maybe take some of that over to Rob's district when you do that.
Dr.
in a
Hernandez told me
shift,
that
but
Jim
It's all-
McNeil would put together, I think, the proposed boundaries, and then
Yes.
ultimately we.
And I know it's all based off population, so it'd be
Yep.
equal population on all.
But
So-
there's different ways you can cut
Yeah.
that up too.
Do we have to have that already planned out before we put that on the ballot so that it is shown on the ballot? I mean, not actually shown on the ballot, but that there's a map somewhere that they can access.
if the board my understanding is if the board passes the resolution, then it goes to the ESD, to the redistricting person and all those people, and they all sign off on it, and then it goes on the ballot and the next opportunity.
So
which
yes,
is
the map would already have
February.
happened, is
by
what you're
then.
saying.
Yeah.
The voters would know what they're voting on as far as
Right.
the district
So
boundaries.
the voters would have a potentially new map of
They'd have the
districts.
ability to look it up.
Yep.
I don't
Right.
know, I mean, it doesn't go out in the,
No, it doesn't
In
go
the
on the
They have
ballots.
to know what
ballot.
they're voting on. though.
Yes.
but, and at the end of the day, it's the voters is who really decides if we're gonna go at large. All the board does is make a recommendation really through this resolution. It doesn't happen because the board approves this. It has to be a 50% plus approval.
Do we have to vote on this today? I mean, I want to have that answer from Heidi about the 2-year and then going again before I would say yes or yay or nay on the vote.
The resolution is due by the 14th. Has to be done by the 14th, so.
So yes, today then,
That's
Today, or we'd have to have a
according
second
to a
reading.
meter.
To make the February
That's just to make the February ballot.
ballot. The issue is, from my point of view, is you have the same type of issue again if you wait.
Right.
Because if I resign before that, whoever has to put in their name in before the next opportunity to vote.
Mhm.
And so people won't be able to put their name in if they don't live in my district and they want to run for that position. Is my understanding. I know that if if nobody applies in the initial filing in April, then there's another one that extends to June, but that would mean that you have not even one person in my district that wants
Right.
to have it. And then it's 4 years again, or 2 years again, till another opportunity for somebody outside to run.
Mike, what do you think?
I think we should go ahead with the resolution tonight. I'd like to see us go ahead with the resolution tonight and get this on the ballot in February. Because like Tony says, I mean, we can put together the best plan here, and voters are the ones that ultimately are gonna approve this. And by that time, they'll have the pertinent information to be able to make a decision, I believe.
I'm okay. I think it should be done before the 14th. If we want to reconvene and have a special meeting so that Jen can get her question answered, I'm okay with that as well. Need to be Wednesday, I think, because of the public notice that needs to be given.
I have the same concern too, to make sure that
I
That
would
would
rather
be
come back
ultimately
to
the-
another meeting
It-
to
I
vote
also
than,
have a concern with February, because my understanding is this may be the only thing on the ballot, so voter turnout may be low, since it would be the only thing on a ballot. And then
But
we're,
that's their choice whether or not they come out and
that's
vote.
true, that is true, but
but so this
You-
just would have to, and that's another question, does this just have to be a majority, or does there have to be a
It's a
certain number of
majority.
turnout? That's all that matters,
Yes.
just a majority.
yes.
I believe there has to be, there is a minimum turnout, I believe.
Okay, then that's another question that we have to have. I
But
think that we
it's
would
in the
have to have
RCW. I
answered.
can't remember what it is, but I don't think it's very hard to hit, but there is some kind of a minimum.
My personal feeling is regardless, I feel very confident that they won't be on the same ballot. And even if they did, it would be 2 at-large and 1 that's district, that's got a district boundary. And regardless, I mean, right now, if we don't do it, anyone has to wait 4 years, and it's only for the people who are in that district anyway.
So I guess I don't totally understand your concern though, Jen. Why would it be a concern if there was 2 at-larges in one ballot? All it does is it allows more people to be involved.
Because I think it would be more beneficial to have one at-large position open every 2 years when there is a vote, instead of oh, there's like 10 applicants for 2 at-large positions, when the rest of the times you're lucky to get 1 or 2. So I think that there would be, so your district's not up, you have a chance every 2 years to run. I mean, if we have to, if we don't want to come back on Wednesday, I mean, I'm happy to step into the other room. I have Heidi's number.
No, I'm
I'd
okay either
call
way. I
her.
was just trying to understand.
Right, that's my concern. I would like there to be an opportunity every 2 years for someone to run, instead of every 4 years we have 2.
Somebody in the district running.
Right.
Away for
Yeah,
the district.
and that,
position.
and
Mhm.
either way, that's probably, no matter what you do, voting for it this way and giving up my district is the one that's gonna make that happen either way, long term, but.
So I think it's been good discussion. Does the board feel like we're ready to move on? Do we want Jen to try to make a quick phone call?
You have to have this resolution in by Friday in order to make the February ballot, right?
14th.
Yeah,
That's my understanding. That's what Heidi told you, right? Yes.
I would be okay with Jen getting her questions answered. Sounded like Ken had the same concern and meeting briefly, if we're just gonna do that one item, meeting briefly either Wednesday or Thursday.
The only
Wednesday,
question I would have is, what has to happen before the 14th? Is it just our approval of the resolution? Or are there several other things that have to happen as well? That if we don't approve it till later, then we're making it harder for the other people to get maybe boundaries. I don't know if boundaries have to be done by the 14th.
No, that's not my understanding, but you do have to get an official title from the prosecutor. So that's one step. So that's an appointment that either myself or one of the members of the executive team has to make. And then, once it goes to Adams County, it's not just Adams County, we have to take it to Franklin County and also to Grant County. So if we're pushing it all the way up to the edge, that means someone's gonna have to get into their car and travel to all these counties to deliver personally that resolution. So it is a time crunch. Wednesday will certainly be pushing it to the edge.
Is that the most important issue for you then, is the
Knowing that,
2-year?
no, the 2-year answer, and then also what's the minimum turnout if it was a majority?
that's in the RCW, I can look that up.
So
Okay.
do you think that Heidi would answer the phone if you called her? I guess.
Yes, I
Well,
do.
I would suggest you step up and then.
Okay. I do.
We can kill some time. We'll play some bingo in the meantime.
I can miss the student report and get it later.
Oh, yeah, we can move on to that. Okay. Does the board feel comfortable just going with the student report and coming back to this? It's
Yes.
allowable in Robert's rules, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So is that essentially, do I table that then, or?
We need a motion. I move to table item B6 to later in the meeting.
Been a motion by Director Ashton to table item B6. until
To B8.
To after the current B7.
I second that.
Been a second by Director Garza. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 4-0. So we will move on to student representative reports. Looks like just one. Tony, I didn't get a, did you?
I did
Oh,
not.
from Isabel, okay.
I don't have my phone with me, so if she texted me since the meeting started, but I do not know. She is MIA.
Yeah, that is correct. All right, so I'll just go with mine. So we have been working on a Stuff the Bus program. If you guys are unaware of it, it is basically the high school students, we try to compile we get a bus and we want to fill it up with winter clothes for those in need, winter clothes, non-perishable foods, and so on and so forth, just to help others in need this Christmas season. So our girls wrestling team has been very successful in our tournaments, and kudos to them. That is amazing. Our CBC/WSU Tri-Cities Running Start students have either finished finals and are on break, or are in the process of finishing finals. The leadership class is working on our new assembly, which is on our Christmas assembly on December 21st. So that's gonna have games and performances from the band and choir. We also, during that week before that, so that's the week of the 21st. So we're gonna have dress-up days, so it's gonna be almost like Christmas homecoming, just to get ready for the season. Our drumline has switched from preparing for concert music and pep band music, like at the sports games, to our Winter Guard program, which is basically kind of field shows that traditionally marching bands do and putting that into a gym. So that has been a switch after a concert that also the choir has been working on. Our FBLA Community Bags of Blessings has been implemented as of December 8th. So if you guys have gotten there's a plastic bag and a little note that Zinnia Huerta and Sarah Kutzk have started last year as part of their FBLA project, and it is an ongoing thing, where this is for the food bank. So you'll get, either they'll come up to your door and you'll answer, or they'll leave a bag there. And it has a little card that explains what it's for. So essentially it's just for the food bank and to help those in need, again, like Stuff the Bus. So you'll get the bag, and you can put non-perishable foods and clothing, and then they'll pick that up as a project they have created. So does anybody have any questions? That's kind of all that I have to report.
How much longer are you going to be running the Stuff the Bus there at the school?
I believe it has finally been over and everything's been counted. It was a class competition, so we had each of our futures, our Husky futures or our advisory classes have been competing that whole week.
Okay.
So I believe that's over, but you can still donate to the food bank.
Okay. I know the FBLA group was out this weekend and did a great
Mhm.
job.
They really did.
Brought in a lot.
Yeah. That's all I got.
Nothing else? Jen's not back yet.
Should I just keep talking about?
Keep talking.
I don't know.
Tell us about what's happening at the end of the year here. I heard the boys basketball team won its first game, right?
Yes, and the girls basketball team almost won, but with like 3 seconds on the clock, East Valley just threw a half-court shot and totally like switched it. That was amazing. There's a couple more things. The leadership class is working on outreaching the middle school. So because the middle school has a little bit of a stricter campus policy now, we are unable to go and visit with them, which is what we wanted to do, because they have been having a very large bullying problem, and we're trying to figure out solutions on how to fix that. There's been thoughts of videos, there's been thoughts of skits, but there's only so much you can do for angsty teenagers. We're trying to figure out different ways, but we can't just go and visit with them. It's the closed campus policy. So if any of the board members has any ideas or things we can do to help those kids, that would be greatly appreciated. Also, Isabella's on her way. She just texted me.
I feel like Jen's getting her answers.
Do you want to take a 5-minute recess, Mr. President?
Sounds like a great idea. We will take a 5-minute recess, reconvene at 7:55.
Find the minimum voting due? 20%. 20%?
Yeah, that's 06.
How do you know that? You know how you-
I don't, I didn't bring it up. ball there on the 7th.
Seattle?
3:04 left. In the game.
You know what, though, I've seen the voting down to 21% before. Yeah, it's got close. And it cost us 13,000 to put it on the ballot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I would say that's safe to assume.
Are they in February? Oh, it's not due, well, it goes down to $1.50 automatically anyway, yeah.
Yeah, but I
That's,
mean,
yeah.
since it's on the board, it's the same requirement.
A lot of work
Yeah.
done last meeting, so.
Yeah, but you gotta, that's something else, I mean, depending what it's on the ballot. Hopefully you get people to
I think people did a good job.
vote on this and they, or they just say, no bother.
12-0.
Big numbers.
The last one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't see that.
This, going into this one, 6 weeks.
No, there's not. And I cover that area. That's part of my area. That area.
Yes, Janet, you want to join?
Your answers?
We have 3 more minutes, you can't talk about it.
Okay,
5-minute recess.
I just asked you got our answers.
No.
That's what the answers were.
no,
Was it the way you explained it?
no.
Is there gonna be another recommendation item to move item C2 down to D2 or E2? Please no. I was just making fun of you guys. You were all talking to each other and didn't know what I said.
Oh, brother. What have I done now? Oh. Can I have like the technologically challenged laptop every time?
The laptop's small.
What? Shh, over there. I can't even turn it on now. I don't know what I've done. It looks like it's still on though. Okay. I probably will break it. It'll just be one thing or another that I break. Nope. Every
District boundary, yeah. Yeah,
Oh,
we
just
could do
wait, it'll
that.
still take me like
But
10
it's-
tries to log in.
Yeah. I think it's,
Okay. So we are out of recess and back into our meeting. The next item is item B8, continuation of the discussion regarding the dissolution of Director District Number 4. Jen, I think probably has
Okay,
information.
I was able to get a hold of Heidi. She is traveling and I was persistent about calling her. And she did not answer while she was driving. She pulled over. So She does not have those answers for us. She said those are really technical questions. She does not know the answers to whether it would be a 2-year term and then turn into a 4-year term for the District 4 that would be turning into an at-large. She cannot answer that question. And then also, she could not answer, was there other question?
The percentage of voter turnout.
The percentage of voter
Is
turnout.
20%.
Oh, she could not answer that, but if you
I
found
can.
that, perfect. So 20% turnout. So she said that she just got to Seattle and she is gonna have to go to the Secretary of State's office tomorrow and do a lot of research to find out the answers to those questions. So,
And I don't know if it's an apples to apples comparison, but I will tell you that when I first ran, I ran in a district with Kirkwood, and that was the district that we dissolved. We went to the at-large, and now Mike and I are have been on the same schedule since, and those three
Oh,
are
I
still
see.
on the same opposite 2 years as it was 12 years ago, 11 years ago.
so
when I
you're
first
saying
ran.
you think it would not be a 2-year, it would just stay on the 4-year?
I don't think they would change the cycle. is
She
what
did
I'm
say
saying.
that, who was the person's name you said that would come up with the redistricting?
Jim McNeil, but it actually is another attorney. that worked with Jim.
She suggested he might be able to come up with an answer faster than she could, but that she would still research it, so I'm gonna send her, the question all phrased out instead of just hurriedly blurted out like I do. And then she'd have to do some research. She could come up, she thinks, at minimum 24 hours. I mean, she thinks that if we reconvene tomorrow night, she'd be able to have an answer for us by then. Or she said Thursday, I'm not sure why Wednesday got skipped, but.
In order to hold another special meeting, we'd have to have 24-hour notice of the public.
Right.
So we couldn't technically hold it until after 9.
So, that was the answer I received from her.
I'm reading an RCW that Dr. Hurst just shared with me, so.
I did not ask what the past turnouts have been for, if she had an estimate, like if 20%.
I've never seen one below 20%. I've watched them for a long time.
Okay,
Doesn't mean there wouldn't be one, but I've
Right.
never seen one below 20%.
sure, we could just blow it out of the water and make one at 18. Okay.
I don't know that I get the answer from that, Dr. Hurst, do you?
Easier to get that.
What part of it, I guess,
Can you tell us what RCW you're looking up?
28A.343.370.
28A, I'm sorry,
343.370.
we're so glad you could all join us for our exciting conversations. Were we gonna invite someone to give us their interpretation of that?
I believe what we were looking at was number 2, that talks about the length of term for the successor being for the unexpired term. I guess our interpretation over here would be
Yeah,
gonna
that's,
serve till
it
that term
is,
ends.
that's what it says right there.
Yes,
The
that's the
successor shall
part
be
that I
elected
missed.
for the unexpired term. So that's exactly what it says.
So does
what
that
it
mean
says is-
2?
I'll just give a
For the rest of the
scenario
term.
with Tony, since we're talking hypotheticals with him possibly moving. So Tony, you were just elected in November of 2000.
Could you talk into your
17.
mic a little bit more? I'm sorry.
Yeah, my term started in January of 2018,
January
and it
2018.
ends in
So-
December 31st of 2021, I think.
Board member elections are on odd number years, always on odd number years. And so I think what it's saying, what I remember in the past too, if Tony was to resign and we appointed, and it depends on when exactly we appoint it. After a certain time, it's too late, and it won't, but if we did it early enough, then there would be an election for, in 2019, his position would be elected again to serve the remainder of the unexpired term, which would be 2 years, before his comes up again for election.
Yeah, so technically, the way it works is if say I didn't move until May, whoever gets appointed will be on the board and not run for election until the next election cycle.
And I believe if we were to appoint after the date where people put their name in to run, then that person's appointed for 2 years, over 2 years really, essentially.
And if
All
that
depends on
doesn't,
when the appointment happens.
okay.
Before or
It has to
after
happen
that
within,
April.
it has to happen within 90 days of when a board member resigns, I know that.
Yes.
What about when a board member moves? When does the board member have to resign by the date
The
of
day
their
after
move?
he moves. If it's out of the district, it's the
Yes.
day after he moves.
Okay,
If it's within the district, then that board member can actually fulfill his term.
Now,
Okay.
there is also a special, if no one has put in for a position, there is a special, I don't know what you want to call it, not an election, but in August, they allow people to put in again if no one's put in for a position. So my guess is no matter what in this scenario, that person would probably be able to run again in November to serve out the 2 years left on Tony's.
okay.
Yeah, but your question was, is if I move out of the district, the day my residency changes, I have to put in a resignation.
Okay. So, but you said, you said one word about when you move out of the district, meaning the district that you're residing in now or the school district boundaries, like,
The school district boundaries. If
Okay,
you move out
so-
of if you move into a different director district,
Uh-huh.
then you have the ability to fulfill your existing term in that director district, even though you changed.
like when Stewart moved,
Correct.
he was able to stay because he was still in the school district boundaries, but not in his director district.
Correct.
Okay,
We have good examples of this lately.
right, this one's really great.
Okay.
Yeah, that was researched when Stewart moved. The board went and did some homework because it had not happened, at least for a long time.
Okay,
So if there's no other questions or clarification of the discussions, then it's really up to the board where they want to go now, if they want to go with a motion or what.
I move to approve resolution 19-003 redistricting.
Been a motion by Director Ashton to approve,
Second.
second by Director Garza. Any further discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
aye.
Aye. Opposed? And the motion carries 5-0. So I will be in contact with Dr. Hurst, and if there's any specifics that, I'll just keep the board informed. If there's some specifics we didn't foresee, then I'll let you guys know, so we're not surprised by it. Okay. Now we'll move on to item C1, required approvals.
We have to, I have questions or comments. So
can ask
do I ask
first if
those
you want.
now or later?
It's fine,
I
either way.
always get confused. All right. On the 2 site visit notes, so let's see, that is C1-1 and C1-5. I wanted to have I was concerned about the way that it says under B1 on both of them, have board development and linkage, and then 1 is public comment, no public comment, and then it goes into administrative. I'm frustrated with the way that it says that because these meetings are specifically for comments, but it's not the same kind of public comments that we have in these meetings. It's more of an open format. So I don't like how it says that there because there's public comments, but it's in different locations than our general board meetings. Is there a way we can change that?
Yeah, absolutely, and I'll take the blame for that because this is new to me, the agenda for site visits. I guess I never looked for them, or I would have gone out and I would have actually just reorganized that to be different.
Okay.
I'm sure Talia was probably just following our policy in that, but in the future, it won't be like that.
Okay, so both of those, and then if we can, so scrutiny likely looked the same, even though I didn't catch it then. Can we change that scrutiny one? I just don't want it to say that there was no public comment at these site visits when that's not the case. Okay. That was my,
So are you making a motion to approve with those, with some changes to these?
that's what I, yes,
'Cause
I'm
we've
making a
already
move to do
approved
that.
We've already approved those scrutiny ones, so I don't know that,
Hmm.
it's not, we can't just authorize
We
somebody
can't go back and
it
change
without
that,
being
right.
approved. But
That's
if you
true.
want to approve, maybe saying that under public comment, all public comment was given in.
Can we just
administrative
take
section
that
below.
line out?
Sure, the board could choose to take everything out above.
I mean, can we just take out all of B and then modify all the numbers
You
after?
You can
That's what I think.
You can't, but you can make a motion to.
That's what I moved to say.
So that, I think,
So
there's
you
been
moved,
a motion by Director Stevenson to remove item B from those minutes. But item B wasn't removed from the agenda, just keep that in mind. It was still on that agenda apparently in board docs.
Okay.
Guessing. Was there a board docs agenda for this?
Yes.
I thought it was just a timetable. There was actually an agenda as
no,
well?
there's been an agenda in board docs.
Oh,
That's the part I had missed.
okay,
That's new practice.
I see.
So keep in mind, you can change the minutes, but the agenda's still going to say what should have happened.
Sure. I mean, it says public comment because it's just not going to say no public comment was given. That's what I wanted to say. I
You
don't,
don't want to say no public comment.
right.
What if
That's my
I would
concern.
amend it to just put C below.
Okay. I'm up for that.
All right, so, are you amending? I think.
I'll make an
Stevenson just amended
amended motion that we approve the minutes of the Wahitas visit and the OHS visit to modify item B1 to see public comments below.
So you're only approving those 2 minutes in your motion?
That's all that's on this list, right?
There's a
Is there
ton
card
on the
approvals?
list.
Where's the other site visits?
No.
I'm saying, are you approving just site visits, or are you approving the required approvals with the modifications of the site
I'm
visits?
approving the required approvals with the modifications.
Okay, so I'm gonna say it back, and you tell me if I got it right. Director Ashton made an amendment to the original motion to approve required approvals with the exception of the minutes for the site visits to change from no public comment to see below on both of those minutes. Is that accurate? All right, now I'll take a second.
Second.
Second by Director Garza. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Now, if everyone's ready, we're gonna move on to item C2. Wahitas Elementary School Annual Report.
Are all the houses represented in shirt? Oh, how awesome.
Thank you for inviting us this evening to share some of the work that's going on at Wahitas. Tonight you'll hear from several of our staff members. You'll hear from Tamara Lumsden, our wonderful instructional coach. She's been instrumental in helping our teachers and our paras take a look at data and identify what our students' next instructional need is. Tonight she'll share some of that data with you. You'll also hear from Tennille Johnson, our spectacular ELL teacher. She's responsible for helping develop students' language proficiency right alongside their content knowledge. Tonight, she will share some information around what we're doing at Wahitas with PBL and STEAM. You'll also hear from Amanda Moore, one of our fantastic kindergarten teachers. This year at Wahitas, we did implement a house system. Not only is Mrs. Moore on that planning committee for the house system, but if you visited Wahitas and you've seen some of those inspirational quotes on our walls and our doors and our windows, that is Mrs. Moore's handiwork. She spent a lot of time this summer putting up those quotes around the building for people who come to see us and our students. Tonight, she will share some information around how we are developing our student leadership, how we're promoting student attendance, and how we're working to decrease the amount of incidents of bullying at our school. Mrs. Anderson and I are very fortunate to work with a fabulous team. Tonight you'll hear from some of the team, but some of our team is also here in attendance. Some of our team is also working behind the scenes tonight, making sure that Wahitas is ready tomorrow for students to arrive. So without further ado, it's our presentation.
Who gets to move the slides? So we work very hard at Wahitas to ensure all students are successful. To meet this goal, we continually monitor data and respond to what our students are telling us they need. And tonight, we will share some of our latest data. After the first 6 weeks of school, the data shows the majority of our youngest learners know their letter sounds. A little over 70% of our first graders are reading at benchmark, according to the STAR reading assessment. And a majority of our 5th grade students are averaging at least 75% on their weekly quizzes. This is important because there has been a correlation between getting at least a 75% on these quizzes and a passing score on the ELA ESPA at the end of the school year. And our 6th grade students are reading accurately. In math, the majority of our 2nd grade students are at benchmark for math, according to the Math Star assessment. And our 3rd grade students demonstrated phenomenal growth in math in just the first 6 weeks of school. More than half of our 4th graders passed a recent math interim assessment block. This is significant because this assessment contains math content that will make up about 25% of the ESPA at the end of the year. It is also important to note that this assessment is made up of end-of-the-year standards, and more than half of our students were able to demonstrate proficiency within the first 6 weeks of school.
Before you move on, I have a quick question.
Yes, ma'am.
So the STAR math assessment, 49 points, what is that equivalent to? Is that like 3 months? Is that, what's a year, I guess, in STAR?
So the way that we measure this is with the STAR assessment in reading and math, also early literacy, there's a projected growth rate for each student, and that depends on their individual score. So each score level would have a different projected growth rate, and that's nationally normed. And so that score is really exciting for me because a 0 on this scale would mean perfect growth. So this is above perfect growth.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good question. I'm glad you asked. So we are very proud of our student growth and will continue with our progress. We assess our students every 6 weeks. After each assessment period, our staff members will continue to analyze the data and make instructional decisions based on what our students are telling us in the data. We will continue to tailor our instruction to meet their needs. And we are working on ensuring that all of our students are explicitly taught comprehension strategies. We'll continue to focus on fluency. And we will continue to support our teachers and paras with job-embedded professional development. And we will continue to do whatever it takes to support all of our students so they can perform at or above standard in all content areas.
So, in addition to preparing our students for state and district assessments, we are also busy preparing our students for the post-secondary education. We are working in grade level teams to develop engaging STEAM units. Each team completed one integrated STEAM unit last year. We are currently working on developing at least one more STEAM unit this year. Each grade level team will be working with Jessica Shank to continue our work. We are also in the beginning stages of developing a PBL committee at Wahitas. This summer, about a third of our teachers attended training. These teachers will be the first cohort of teaching integrated PBL into lesson plans. We will continue preparing our students by developing and refining our STEAM unit plans. We are also working to integrate PBL and STEAM unit plans to provide engaging experiences for our students as we prepare them to be problem solvers and creative thinkers. We will also support our teachers as they implement PBL. We will continue to do whatever it takes to support all our students so that they can perform at and above standards in all content areas.
Can you give us a quick definition of the difference between STEAM and PBL?
So PBL is project-based learning. This would be a culminating project where students might integrate multiple content areas to create a project, a physical, tangible piece. And ideally, that would be put on exhibition for members within the school or community, or for the school board even. Now, STEAM is the integration of science, technology, and engineering, arts, and mathematics. So that's very specific to content, whereas PBL could be reading, it could be any content coming together. Students in the schools that we visited down in San Diego, in one biology class, students built wooden canoes and went out and took water samples for their biology class. So PBL has broader parameters, and then STEAM is really steeped in the sciences, math, and engineering.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Not only are we working hard to develop our students' academic competencies, we are working just as hard to support our students' attendance and teach appropriate behaviors. We've implemented several programs that are having a positive impact on our students. When you visit Wahitas, you will notice our attendance rates posted in the foyer next to our school slogan, Strive for 5. We monitor student attendance regularly and promote our goal of making sure students miss fewer than 5 days of school over the course of the school year. We conference with parents to identify and remove barriers that get in the way of students attending regularly so all students are successful. Our students are also taking on leadership roles around our school. When you visit Wahitas, you will see students taking an active role in developing a positive school culture. Our 6th grade students lead kindness campaigns, deliver the daily announcements, lead assemblies, and develop and produce a school news channel. Our 5th and 6th grade students can be found leading recess games and modeling appropriate playground behavior for all students. We recently partnered with Playworks to develop an inclusive playground experience for all of our students. Our older students have taken the lead and are serving as playground coaches. We've been implementing positive behavior interventions and supports. We provide behavior interventions in the same manner we provide academic interventions. We gather, analyze, and respond to behavior data. We provide whole class lessons on topics like kindness, anger management, and self-control. In an effort to support our students' social emotional needs, we also provide small group and one-on-one support. Our work focuses on the goal of increasing student attendance and decreasing discipline. We will continually refine our procedures. Our PBIS team will continue to develop our tiers of intervention. This work will support our teachers and students as we continue to have a positive impact on the way we develop common behavior expectations. We will continue to teach our 5th and 6th grade students how to facilitate appropriate playground behavior and develop the leadership capacity of our junior coaches. We will continue to promote our Strive for 5 attendance goal. Our attendance committee meets weekly and will continue to remove barriers that prohibit our students from attending regularly. We are continually exploring leadership opportunities for all of our students. We are currently developing a system that will allow our older students to serve as reading buddies for our younger students. Our 6th grade students will soon be reading to and listening to our primary readers. And lastly, we are proud of our house system. We will continue to invite community members into our school to share their professions with our students. We will continue to provide friendly competitions that allow our students to work across grade levels and to cultivate a positive school culture. Our students are collaborating, celebrating creativity, and developing friendships within the entire school community.
I just want to say thank you for letting us come share part of our school culture with you. Part of our philosophy is we will never be perfect, but we will strive constantly each day to be better. And I think the slides that we've just presented to you show that constant striving to be better. We aren't perfect. We've never claimed to be perfect, but we are a unified team. We collaborate. We've worked really hard this year to strengthen a pretty strong culture that's already existed. But I'm just very appreciative to all the staff I work with. Working with Amy has been a great experience for me, and being at Wajitas is probably the greatest joy of my day, besides being with my family. So, if they're watching. So, again, thank you for your time. If you have any questions, we take those now.
I have a question. So when you said junior coaches or playground coaches, like what did you mean by that?
So as part of the PlayWorks organization that comes in, they strongly encourage you to solicit student help. So we have 5th graders and 6th graders who come outside each day. There is a schedule set up for them in the cafeteria. They check their schedule, what time they're going out, which playground they're at, and which game they're leading. So you'll see some of those students out with 2nd grade leading games. You'll see them out with 6th grade leading games. They're just kind of spread out over that 40-minute period.
That's cool.
Thank you.
So where did the house idea come from? Not who, but where?
Ron Clark Academy, Atlanta, Georgia.
Okay.
And I'm sorry.
I would just say the shirts, is it your guys' design and idea, or?
Mark Zuniga did design them. So we looked on Facebook to represent, so here's the first thing we did. We looked at grit because that's what Wajitas is all about. And so we came up with game changers for G, risk takers for R, innovators for I, and thrivers for T. So we looked at Google Pics to see what icons or what symbols would represent those. And then Mark Zuniga did a fabulous job of making them Wajitas.
Awesome.
We have a house song too. Do you want to hear it?
Oh my goodness, yes.
I
think
promised him I
everyone's
wouldn't embarrass
singing.
You have to now.
We would love to invite you to one of our assemblies, and you can hear them.
You're not gonna like a cappella it for us right now?
No, they would lynch me.
Oh,
They're all
darn
nodding
it,
behind you.
Sandy,
They said
come
they'll do
on.
Only if Janet leads.
Any other questions or comments from the board?
No, great presentation. I appreciate you tying it to the ends.
I don't speak in a mic, but I will today. I just want to say thank you so much for the support you've had with the STEM activities in our classroom. Jessica has been wonderful about meeting with our team and giving us great ideas. And today, it was so awesome. Our supplies came in yesterday. It was like Christmas. We all sat together and went through all the materials. But the very first activity to paper circuits is taking painter tape and teaching the kids how to make corners with tape, and just putting it on their desk and making squares and triangles. So their first assignment was to make a square, and then they had to make a triangle. And then I said, make anything you want, have fun. Oh my goodness, we had a great time. They were laughing and smiling and making all kinds of wonderful little designs on their desks and being very creative. Of course, it leads into learning about electricity and how to make circuits. But I just want to say thank you for supporting the kids and the activities and giving us the materials.
I gotta say, great job, good job. School of Distinction, 3 years in a row, that says a lot right there, too. That's great, and I'm looking forward to Monday presenting.
I got a kudos to no one gets to give up, opt out, or fail. That's pretty good, and that's representative of what you guys are talking about, where you guys rally around each other, and, you know, you're giving kudos to Mr. Zuniga, you know, not necessary, but you guys are recognizing that it takes a village, and that's a great quality to have as an institution. And you guys got the best, you know, lunch scanner lady. You know.
No bias whatsoever.
None whatsoever, no.
Thank you for the
Is that her
presentation.
official title, lunch scanner lady?
I don't know what her official wife. That's all. That's the one that matters to me.
All right. Thank you very much. So we'll move on now to item D1.
I move to accept monitoring report from superintendent regarding EL2.
Been a motion from Director Ashton to accept the monitoring report,
Second?
second by Director Stevenson. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
I
Next
move-
item, B2.
I move to
E2.
approve item E2 with the following corrections. On EL2, the movement of the comment, from comment down to additional remarks.
You're where?
On
EL2?
EL10,
Oh, okay.
EL10, moving the comments from down to additional remarks. On EL13, moving the comments down below additional remarks. And on GP11, adding the word none after comments. GP11.
Could we also spell the word fortunately correct? On that
I'm
one?
not a spelling expert.
I know.
Good thing I
That was
didn't
totally
type
fine.
it.
And then,
Where's that at?
It's been
Which one?
corrected already.
okay, and then continue transparency in all our dealings as individual board members and adherence to there's just two, the comma there is funny. And adherence to the policies in place to deal with these.
So you're continuing my motion or modifying my motion?
I'm modifying.
Okay.
So what was yours again? I think I didn't catch all of it.
We're correcting the spelling to fortunately.
Yeah,
And continued transparency in all of our dealings as individual board members and adherence to policies in place to deal with these specific scenarios. The comma there is odd. I know we were throwing a lot of stuff at Talia trying to put all of those comments together, and so it just kind of came out funny.
Okay, but there's been a motion to accept.
Yeah, transparency was misspelled
Okay.
as well, Rob. Did you
Mike
notice
just
that?
caught the transparency spelled
I got
wrong.
Been a motion to accept the monitoring response documents with the recommended changes. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Director Garza. We're gonna say that was a motion by Director Ashton and a second by Director Garza. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Policy review, there were no recommended changes gone into that, so assuming there aren't any added, we're going to be leaving those as is. Okay, then we'll move on to item F1, executive session. We need an executive session for 15 minutes for for the purpose of considering the selection of a site for the acquisition of real estate by lease or purchase pursuant to RCW 42.30.110, parentheses 1B. We will recess for 2 minutes to clear the room, and then we'll go right into that executive session.